This is Two Teachers Chat with your hosts, Brenda McCrate and Peggy Wilbur.
Hi, Brenda. Hi, Peg. We are Two Teachers Chat. I have a question for you.
Yep, I expected it.
So we talked about the value of having students in a student-centered classroom do some of the talking, but especially after we have, as a teacher, taught something, we want them to wrestle with the information by talking to each other, maybe in a pair share, turn and talk, or in a group talk. And we wanted to revisit that. I want to revisit that.
Okay.
How do we actually teach students how to have an academic conversation?
Well, there are really definite steps, and adults who have good conversations, which is not all of us, have those steps. And we start by actually looking at the person who's talking and listening actively. And the first step of that would be to be able to paraphrase the person who's talking. And I've been a coach of teachers for years and years, and part of really listening to them is putting yourself in the moment, listening to that person. And proof of that is, can you paraphrase what they said? So if I'm busy thinking about what I should say next, I'm not going to be able to paraphrase them. So that's the first skill we teach kids. Now, as young as kindergarten and first grade. So we have this thing, crisscross applesauce. All right, works for everything. But what we do with the turn and talk or the parent share is we put them looking at each other and we say knee to knee, eye to eye. So that's little kid talk for I am looking at the person. And then we have them say something. So we might say, tell your friend who's listening, peanut butter and jelly, they like that, or person one, person two, or if I tap you on the head, you go first. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So person A talks and says, my favorite animal, stuffed animal at home is my pink bunny. And person two says, and my favorite animal at home is my black teddy bear. He has silver eyes. And then you stop it and you say, okay, person A, please tell me what person B said. And if they look at you and go, I don't know. You say, okay, partner B, whisper that in partner A's ear. Do you know now, partner A? Oh, yes, he has a black teddy bear. He has silver eyes. Great job. Okay, partner B, tell me what partner A said. And so on and so forth. And so they're first just learning to listen. Because
And remember.
Listen
and remember.
Right, and put it somewhere so that I can repeat it.
Yeah, it's not a skill that children are born with.
No.
And in our society, as you were saying, it's becoming more visual. And then children really need more practice, is what we've noticed, in listening and then remembering.
Exactly. And, it drives teachers crazy because you give them 3 oral directions and they can't remember it.
Right.
Well, guess what? Getting them to talk to each other and remember will help you in the direction area too.
Yes.
It's a marvelous thing.
Yes.
So first we just get them to repeat it verbatim, pretty much. And then, because we're going to have longer discussions, we're going to say, so tell them why Susie tried to paint her room black in the story. And whatever the text evidence is, she wanted it to be night all the time or whatever. So then they're talking about that, and you can say, and did you agree with your partner? And maybe they did, maybe they didn't, depending on what they heard from the story. And then again, they're sharing, but now you might ask them to just say, tell me in your own words, what did your partner say? And especially as kids get older and they're reading about a text, or they're having an opinion about a text. We've worked on this in the school that I retired from, and we had small groups reading a text and then discussing an inference question, like what was the most important plant to the Native Americans in Colorado. And they had to give an opinion, but they also had to have text evidence. And what we found at the beginning, like the pretest type thing, was 2 children out of 7 would say anything. We had a lot of ELL kids.
Right.
And most of them would say nothing. And even the kids who did talk, if you asked another child to say what they said, they weren't listening. They were just sitting in a circle, I'm not sure, numb or something, but they didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And so then we taught them. We modeled and we modeled and we modeled. And then we asked each of them to do that. And by the end, they could, more of them were talking, and they could paraphrase what another person said. And that is the first step. There's a lot of steps to having a really great academic discussion, and there's lots of methods. I've used the scientific talking circle, where you have to either ask a question, somebody talks, and you can either add something or ask a question or paraphrase. And we always started with paraphrasing. So if you can start by getting them to be able to repeat and then paraphrase what their partner said or what whoever's talking in their small group, your kids are on their way to actually having an academic discussion. But of course you're going to sit down and you're going to model that model, and then you're going to call on the kids who are good at it and let them model and be the we do,
so
and
everybody
can see it. And then you might even, I love the fishbowl technique, where one small group is discussing and another small group is outside looking, and then you ask the outside group, who did you see talking? Who could they paraphrase? Who actually, was there anybody who didn't talk at all? You know, and they're being the observers, not just you, but the kids are assessing the other kids. And that's a great technique for discussion in particular. But always start with repeating and then paraphrasing, because then they're actually listening and putting it in their memory.
What would you say when a teacher says, I do not have time to do that? I have to cover this curriculum, and especially in math. You know, there is a pressure for, teachers sort of compare, what chapter are you on today, or teams of teachers that work together.
I know they do, but guess what? It might be the teacher who's going deep, not wide.
Right.
Who doesn't get through all the chapters, but her children go to the next grade actually understanding what she got to. Now, is there in a perfect world, we would have all the time we would need. We would have maybe longer days, or maybe no summer vacation, or whatever.
Or shorter textbooks.
Or shorter textbooks that went deep and didn't try to go wide on everything. But trust me, if your teammates are comparing that they're 3 chapters ahead of you, but you can in your heart and in your mind know that you have taught it deep, your kids understand it, your kids can explain it, your kids could teach somebody else to do it, then you are winning the race.
Well, and more so than teachers realize, because there's the sense of, I need to teach the material, when really what we've been describing with children that can listen, children that can paraphrase, children that can infer, those skills are what are really necessary for success in the next grade and the next grade and the next grade above.
In life.
Yep. So it is time well spent, and the time that you spend modeling will pay off tremendously, because the students get more and more efficient at doing this. And so the learning itself, the teaching, the learning process becomes much more efficient and powerful at the same time.
Exactly, because they'll be focused, they'll talk on topic, they'll listen to each other, they'll learn from each other as well as you, and go slow to go fast.
Right. I've had a number of teachers say to me, well, I just can't get certain kids to talk, they don't talk. And I thought, that I believe them. I thought that was interesting. In my classes, all the students talk because even the quiet ones, because number one, by modeling, they now have words to say. And then also people are listening to them. And so they really, you have these quiet students that rise up to be leaders, and they join in on the conversation and really add the most interesting thoughts to it. And so it takes, several weeks, I would say, a few weeks, the process does, but it's so worth it because everybody has a voice.
I agree.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We will be back after some more coffee.
Thank you for watching 2 Teachers Chat. Until next time, and remember, teachers touch lives forever.